Hi, I'm Daniel, and before the episode starts, I want to briefly talk to you about the Garden Outreach Project, a WCF program focused on putting faith into action. Our mission is to inspire and support Christadelphians in North America to share Christ's love through outreach initiatives. This is done by facilitating national and local outreach activities, supplying resources, and providing funds to help brothers and sisters serve those in need. For example, in 2020, over 40 ecclesial groups participated in our Bags of Love initiative, which saw over 800 sleeping bags distributed to shelters and those without a home. If you, your ecclesia, or CYC want to learn more and get involved with our latest initiative, please visit our website at www.thegardenoutreach.org. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Garden Outreach for the latest news and encouragement. And now, here's the show.
Welcome back to A Little Faith. This is a podcast sponsored by the Williamsburg Christadelphian Foundation. A Little Faith podcast explores both the challenges and hope of living a life of faith. In this episode, Levi chats to Aletheia Burney about Hymns for Sunday. What started as an initial request to provide some hymn videos for online services during the pandemic has transformed into a wonderful growing collection of hymns and WCF's first album on digital streaming platforms. Aletheia also reflects on her spiritual journey and how music has shaped her faith.
Hi, Aletheia. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we've known each other for some years, but can you introduce yourself to anyone who's never met you before?
I'm Aletheia. I'm from Adelaide in South Australia. So that's right at the bottom of Australia in the middle. Mm-hmm. If you haven't been here before, you should. It's a nice part of the world. Come and visit us when we're, allowed back out into the wide world.
Well, I'm excited to interview you today to talk about Hymns for Sunday and all your work that's gone into that. But you've had a passion for music for a while, right? I mean, that's what I've known about you from knowing you.
Yeah, music's been part of my life since I can remember. I grew up around music. My family is very musical. There was always music playing in the background from back in the days of records even. And so my two brothers and I, we all learned different musical instruments. And at one point we were known as the noisy family on our street, which for a bunch of introverts kind of funny. But that's because, at any given time we'd have, two trombones and a trumpet and a clarinet and a piano and singing and all sorts going on in the house. So I guess it was always made a priority for us, or made available to us.
Yeah.
Our parents really wanted to pass that on to us and give us opportunity to learn music and to be part of that, and to then I guess later as teenagers and young adults to contribute to whatever was happening ecclesially,
right.
In the capacity as well. So yeah.
Do you remember a moment where you kind of committed to music? I don't know. I feel like I was musical, but never kind of made that decision that it's going to be a part of my life forever,
That's an interesting question. I haven't really thought about that before. The first song I ever wrote was just after I finished high school. So I just graduated and I just wrote a song, and it just had never occurred to me before that, because I had a reasonably formal music education, which I don't know if you have that in other parts of the world, but where you sort of follow a graded, I studied sort of exams and grades and all of that sort of stuff, and theory exams. And it's all about reproduction. It's about reproducing what's on the page, what someone has written in the past, and reproducing it accurately. And so I'd sort of been focusing on that. And then when I was doing my year 12 music, I had some assignments where I had to make arrangements of different songs. I chose a whole heap of English and Irish folk songs to arrange as a cappella music for a four-part quartet. And I guess, maybe that just sparked something in the creative side of me. And then I guess I'd had to decide what to do when I left school. And I also, I liked music. I also liked science. So I started studying a food science course, and I did 1 year of that and I just couldn't shake the music thing. So I reapplied to university, but not with piano. I had, I think, about 3 months of singing lessons, and applied to do a music degree with voice. And so since then, I've been teaching music and composing music and recording music and trying to work in that industry, which is difficult at times.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of other things besides, as you can imagine, but it's always been part of my life.
Nice. Yeah. And you said it was part of your church service early on as well, getting involved with the church side of it.
Yeah, I guess lots of youth activities probably was the first thing. And then in Adelaide, when I was a teenager, there were a lot of combined ecclesial events where we had music was the focus. We did a lot of reproductions of Messiah and Elijah Oratorio and a lot of sort of big classical music pieces that were biblically based. And there was opportunity there for singing and I played the clarinet as well for a time. So we were doing sort of orchestral stuff. I think for me, it's a way that I can contribute, and it's a way that I see God working in my life. It's something that I've been given this inclination towards music. I also have been studying music since I was 7, so that's a good 25 plus years.
Right.
So that helps as well. You don't just sort of wake up with the ability, but I definitely have had an inclination towards it, and I think that is God given. And so if there's a way that I can use that to contribute, to help people connect emotionally, spiritually with themselves, to disconnect even, to find a place of solace and retreat, I think because it's God given, it is something that you should do. Is it not?
Yes. No, yeah, that's interesting. You're kind of feeling a push, so you should follow that push and not push against it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And also it's fun.
That's true. And you, before Hymns for Sunday, which was what we're talking about today, you have had other kind of specific projects. Do you want to talk about Seventh Day and Hymns Reimagined and other things that you've produced before this?
Yes, I guess when I started writing music, I was very privileged and blessed to be surrounded by a whole lot of amazing mentors and peers that were writing music as well, some slightly older than me, that were kind of leading the way in really creating our own library, I suppose, of Christadelphian music, because we have the Praise the Lord songs, some of which are written by Christadelphians, many of which are not, which is totally fine. The same with the hymn book. There's a very, very small number in there that are written by Christadelphians, but most of them are gathered from other church hymn books and liturgies. And so we sort of have this compilation of music, but we were aware that people were writing music. So this has been happening, long before. For my time, there was the Christadelphian Arts Trust that came out of Sydney. Some people might know it. Yeah, that's what the acronym is. Trying to sort of make and record music for our community, specifically for and by our community. And so we were sort of able to be a part of that movement. And the Seventh Day is a project that was started, referencing, of course, the seventh day of creation when God rested. And this is a music collective, I suppose, in a way, of a few different composers, songwriters, artists, and we support them to write and record music. We do that together. We're not sort of a band as such, but more just a collection of musicians that we contribute to each other's songs in the songwriting stage. We record together. We do make music. So.
I think people know it, and they know some of you and some of the people that are in there. And music is such an amazing collaborative process. I think there's something we've learned it through COVID in 2020 about not being able to do it alone. Music, you can. There's beautiful times, of singing alone and kind of being meditative, but there's also a very clear group aspect that's needed and missing. I guess let's talk about that. How does music connect you to God in your relationship? And then how do you see it connecting other people and servicing other people? Let's start with you. What's it like for you, I guess, when you're playing by yourself?
It's something it just flows, It's a very natural thing. I think it's a very human thing. Music's something that's been part of the human story since the beginning. We know that from history. We know that especially from the Bible. It's all throughout, because music is a way that we connect and communicate. It's a way to say things more fully than you can just with words. And even music without words, it communicates so much. It sparks your imagination. It pulls you in different emotional directions. It tells its own story. And so then when you put that in a spiritual context and you're writing music for and about God and praising God and connecting with God, again, whether with words or without, it's this sort of flow between the creator and the created. You know, if we're made in his image, the image of the creator, then we are inherently creative beings. And I think one of the ways that humans really display that is through music, through what we can create. I mean, especially with Western music, right? There's 12 tones. That's the range of notes we have. And yet the possibilities for songs, there's new songs being written all the time. That's just completely mind-blowing to me. Endless possibilities because of the creativity that we've been gifted by the creator.
Yeah, there's a gorgeous C.S. Lewis quote about how kind of art and music are proofs for God because they are unnecessary for life. C.S. Lewis says, friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it's one of those things which give value to survival, which I think is beautiful. And I think that's very similar to what you're saying, that it shows the creator coming out of us, right? And that is the most valuable thing that we can do, you know, in a way, by pointing back to him in that way.
I heard a good quote recently too, that if art is how we decorate space, then music is how we decorate time.
Oh yeah, I love that. That is beautiful. Yeah, it makes it clearly better. That's one thing you were talking about, how it's so natural and it paints a story. It's part of our life. And I'm a huge fan of music and play music a lot throughout the day. I just, you know, in the kitchen is better when there's music playing in it. You know, it's just, like you're saying, it's a decoration of the time that I'm spending in the kitchen.
Yeah. And it's not just decoration, is it, when it comes
No.
to worship and
Yeah.
praise? A very, very powerful connection. And something that I think we all know, and I think probably most of us have experienced, even, you know, early on in your Sunday school days, if you went to Sunday school, you've got songs that their sole purpose is to help you remember something, to help you remember a Bible quote or the books of the Bible or a Bible story. And the way that music connects those intellectual kind of things and theoretical and conceptual stuff to pure emotion, to spirituality. It connects the head and the heart and the body and the soul, the spiritual side of things. It's something that unifies all of that in us and then connects us together as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the connecting together is, I think, what's been so interesting learning about ourselves and our lives through the pandemic is that we miss going to meeting, we miss going to our ecclesias, we miss having our services. And music is, and actually in California there's this unique thing where you can actually go to your place of worship. Actually, in the United States made it illegal to close churches, which is interesting, but you still cannot sing because it's the one thing they've made totally illegal, right? So I've been to our hall to help record the memorial service, and we play the hymns, and nobody sings. So there's 6-7 people in there. It's not, there's usually 100, but there's no singing because that's what's kind of made illegal. And I've just been personally just learning so much about worship, and I think singing is absolutely just a part of that, of how it really can't be done alone, right? We have all these churches and ecclesias using Zoom, like you and I are doing now. And that was the impetus of why we developed Hymns for Sunday. But there's still that disconnect, and everyone's felt it and talked about it. And we're thankful to have Zoom, but it's not the same. And I think that is something I really didn't know, and I don't think I needed. Like when lockdown first started, I was like, okay, we'll do church on Zoom. It's fine. Right? Because it's just a transference of information. Sit down, do the readings, hear the talk, say my prayers, get up and go home, right? That's all things I can do at a computer. but clearly not. That doesn't count as church. Like it feels we need each other. And I think there's a lot of spiritual lessons there, but we need each other to worship together. I think you can worship alone. I don't think you can always worship alone.
No. And it's interesting. A tangential thing is that we have so much, and for a long time now, for decades now, we have had really easy access, and now more than ever before, access to recorded music. But we still want to go see live music. It's a different experience when you're there and you're with people. And I don't know, I haven't put words around yet what exactly that is. Like, what's the difference there? Why do we? Yeah, I think experience probably is the key word. When you are part of an experience that is being created, and you're part of it. It's being created in front of you and for you and around you and because of you, and you're part of it, so you're influencing it in some way. That's powerful.
Yeah,
it's different to passive listening, I think, which is often what recorded music.
Yeah, you're right. There is something. Jessica and I bought a record player, and records are selling better now than they have in 30 years, which is funny. But a part of the thing that we enjoy about records, and we talk about it, is you sit down, or you're all listening to this thing together, and you can't just skip the tracks, right? It is you're listening, you're enjoying the experience of that single record. It's more live, I guess, is what I'm saying, than switching the songs on Spotify. It's a different feeling. I also think back to Zoom services, I think that's what's interesting too, is like we want to listen to a exhortation that's live too. It's the same point of recorded songs. We have recorded talks, through out of our noses. We got so many, but we want people to have the opportunity to share new thoughts, and we want it to be live. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think probably a big part of that is it's the human connection thing. Like, we need it. That's that's the truth. We need it. And I think, like you say, that has become so apparent with Zoom. The fact that we didn't just go to home church, for example.
Yeah. Right.
We still feel a very strong pull to get everyone together as much as we can, connect with each other, support each other, find ways to do that. Apart from as well the biblical directive to do so. But
correct. But I think I had the biblical directive to do so explained through this process for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we're told to do that, but also now we've experienced why we need to, because it doesn't feel the same, right?
Yeah.
It's not. There's some experiential difference, like we're talking about. It's these kind of ideas that inspired us to say we need to figure out a new resource for hymns for Zoom, right? And that's what kind of bore Hymns for Sunday. We needed to build Hymns for Sunday and reached out to you and Jacob and Josie Walker, who are also beautiful musicians and professional music makers and teachers. And so explain that process, I guess. Do you remember how it kind of first started?
I think someone approached WCF sort of really highlighting this need to have put music back into our ecclesial and church gatherings in whatever way we could via Zoom. And I think WCF got together on a Monday, which of course with the time difference was Tuesday for me. And they said, Hey, how about this? Do you think you can do it? So up until then, like I said, I'd been part of recording a lot of music in the past with our projects here in Australia, but I had never been in the driving seat, as so to speak, doing the whole process from start to finish. I'd sort of had a little bit of a taste of it, but in terms of recording and mixing, editing, mastering, the whole process, it's not something I'd ever done by myself. And then here I was in lockdown.
Right.
How am I going to do that? So it was a steep learning curve, let's say, and making videos as well. So to put the music with the images and lyrics that they need to be with. So I had some very frantic late night Zoom calls with my very talented friends who are sound engineers over here and saying, can you help me out? So we got it done by the Friday. So sort of a 4-day turnaround there for the first lot. And then thankfully, not long after that, Jacob and Josie came on board to help me out. So
Right.
it's really wonderful. It's been so lovely working with them. And then more recently, Maggie and Jose, Jacob and Josie have been preoccupied with the birth of their baby.
Mm-hmm.
So that's lovely, but we do miss them. I guess that was something unexpected. I think I had met Maggie before many years ago, but I've really been able to make these connections with people on the other side of the world that I don't know how I would have met otherwise. It's been really lovely.
Yeah, and it's been a really successful program. Like, we get hundreds of uses of each hymn a week, and that was kind of when it was weekly based, right? And it was like from that first week, it was weekly through the whole year, right? Through all of the calendar last year, it was kind of, we put up 3 or 4 new hymns every week, and so now we're well past, I think, past 150, right?
Yeah, probably 170, 180,
right.
something like that.
So it's turned into this beautiful directory, and we're kind of working on a monthly basis. But what was your creative process kind of through the week for the hymns that you had and organizing it and all that?
Yeah, so I would get together with Jacob and Josie. We would be messaging and deciding what hymns we were going to record that week. And then I guess the process from there is you record the backing first. So in this case, usually piano for most of them, and then record the vocals as well on top of that, and then edit it all together, mix it all together, master it. We would work relatively independently. You know, they do their thing, I do my thing. They send me their songs towards the end of the week, and then I can make them into videos. So that's been fun too. I like to be intentional with what images I pick as well, just to make sure that it's as much as possible a cohesive experience. So whether the image just sort of subtly reflects what's happening in the song lyrically, you know, the Lord is my shepherd, maybe we go a little more pastoral themed, or whether it's just something that, to my mind, evokes the mood or the feeling or the vibe of the song, where the direction of that is going. And I think if we have visual and audio cohesion in terms of those kind of things, in terms of emotion, then it creates a more cohesive experience. And we actually had a brother who is a photographer and an artist who just gave us access to his photo library. So that's been really amazing.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
His images. And I've even used some from my own travels around the world as well. Even one of them is from just outside my house. So see if you can spot that one.
That's a good Easter egg for everybody. Talk about how it felt weird at times, I guess.
I guess it's been a little bit of a strange experience for me, because in Australia, and particularly here in Adelaide, we have felt the effects of COVID very, very lightly. We had a few months, I think probably April to June, we were not able to meet together in our churches, maybe a little longer than that. A lot of people were working from home, but, you know, lockdown such as it wasn't very extreme. I haven't had to wear a mask at all. So that's sort of the picture that it's been here. And I guess for the last 6 months, things have been relatively normal. You know, we still can't travel much, even to other parts of Australia, and certainly not internationally, just like everyone else. But it's sort of surreal normalcy here. And so for me, something that's been a little strange here in my corner of, not only a small corner of the world, Adelaide's it's the capital city of this state, but it's a very, very small town, and it has a very small town feel on the global scale. Not only in my small corner of the world, but in the small corner of my house as well. Just me and my laptop and my keyboard and my microphone, putting stuff out into the world, which in its own right is a reasonably daunting thing to do.
Yep.
Requires a lot of detachment on my part, just to put it out there. And I think that's something that is made easier by being able to do it in faith, that this is God directed and God is in this, and supported by people with the best of motivations and intentions to help provide our community with something that is a really valuable resource that hopefully has longevity, as well as being really useful right now, for what we need to fill that some of the gaps, what we need for our church services. So that's been something really interesting thing for me, and something that I think has helped me be able to connect a little bit more, have a bit more sympathy, at least, if not empathy, with people around the world that are, still really, really going through the ringer with COVID, still, and even more so, in the northern hemisphere with the onset of winter and just the increase in illness that brings. So that's something that I'm actually really grateful for, because it's helped me have that connection with a broader community as well, which is really a blessing, actually.
Yeah, I hear. I'm having a funny reaction because I hear what you're saying, and everything you're saying makes sense. But I'm also just so thankful that you have leaned into this. Like, that's how it gets done, right? You have these natural doubts. Is this good enough? Am I making something is it really helpful, or is it just, and I'm sure there's like pride questions and just kind of all these mind games that you're playing to yourself, and I'm just so thankful that you have said, you know what, no, like, it's needed, because I think it's been a great blessing for a lot of people, and I'm really thankful for your work.
I think, like you say, you do have all these, you are your own worst critic, and you have doubts, and maybe you're having an off week, maybe not feeling great, maybe your voice isn't as you would love it to be, maybe you're not feeling spiritually great as well, but just doing it anyway, that's sometimes what you need. I think God, you show up and you do it anyway, and he's big enough to work with whatever little we have to give.
Yes. Well, there is I think it's the fake it till you make it phrase is so spiritually true, like frustratingly to me, because you can feel disingenuous, right? But sometimes you can, again, say that to yourself, but I think it's, God responds when we push, I think.
Yeah.
This is something that fascinates me. Did you have a favorite hymn, and especially because you were on lockdown too, like this is a weird kind of life adjustment, life period for everyone in the world, but you as well, like you're kind of picking a song and then you're recording that hymn, and you have feelings about these hymns too. Like, these are your church songs too, Do you have specific songs, some of the hymns that tie to those kind of feelings, like they were healing for you in a way?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of favorites. My favorite hymn of all time is hymn 151, which is Lord of All Being, which I did record, and that was a bit daunting for me. When it's your favorite and you're your own biggest critic a lot of the time, I think. So I'm still not convinced that I have completely done it justice, but that was a really interesting thing to do, record your favorite hymn. That's the hymn that was played at my baptism, so it has a lot of meaning for me. And another one that has a lot of meaning for me personally is hymn 289, which is A Rose Shall Bloom in a Lonely Place. And that was my grandmother's favorite hymn, and she sadly passed away last year, and myself and my cousin Alex, we were able to record that in time for her funeral. So that's part of Hymns for Sunday as well. So that one's particularly special to me. I guess there's a few hymns and songs as well that have become more favorites of mine through doing this, through going through this process of really sitting down and working out, what does this song mean to me? What is this hymn saying emotionally? How do we convey that? How do we put this in a context that's going to be uplifting and meditational and connecting for people? So that's been really interesting. And I think one of those songs, it's Praise the Lord number 277, To Be in Your Presence. And it's just this beautiful song that just flows and just immediately, for me at least, makes me feel peaceful when things are feeling a bit turbulent internally.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. I actually can clearly remember using that one or hearing that one in one of the Zoom services we attended, and that song has such a elevating sense, like to be in your presence. We're talking about now we are trying to come together in the presence of God, even if we're all at our own computer screens, that has that kind of unifying effect. You talked about a specific request, or you recorded one for a funeral. Have you had other kind of specific people ask? I know actually I've asked for one favor for an exhortation I was giving. I said, we don't have this one yet. Could you do this one for me? And you did, which was amazing. But have you had any other ones like that?
Yeah, I think we've had a few. Like you requested one, had similar ones to that for specific sort of other resources. In the UK, they're doing a series sort of going through all the Psalms. And so Jacob and JC recorded some, which is in the hymn book, The Lord Will Be a Refuge. That was specifically for the release of that resource. And yeah, other hymns for baptisms and other events like that. So, but it's been good this year. We've sort of periodically throughout last year as well posted on social media asking people what they would like to hear, what their requests are. So that's been really nice as well, as seeing other people's favourites, and opened my eyes a little bit to some songs that are a bit lesser known to me. And that's really fun. I think, this is someone's favourite. That's really nice. So,
yeah, I think we clearly have regional or even ecclesial kind of favorites. Like, that's what I love, traveling around. Someone will play a hymn from the hymn book, and I'm like, we never sing this one, which is nice. Yeah, and it's also been cool. We've done some translated with Farsi words, and we've had some Spanish productions, and I'm really excited that we're going to hopefully be doing more of that in 2021. And we've released the first collection on Spotify, so you can search WCF Music and find the first collection on Spotify. We'll hopefully have a couple more of those onto Spotify. Anything else you're excited about for this project, kind of moving into the next year?
Yeah, I think an exciting thing is just being able to get a few more people involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a few people we're hunting down to get involved because, of course, last year we were, I guess, in general, I think as a community and as a society probably too, we were all trying to just sort of anticipate needs whilst also feeling the needs that already existed and trying to a little bit on the back foot, I suppose.
Right.
And so now we've had a little break over Christmas and New Year and been able to recalibrate a little. We've been trying to strategize about how to get more people involved, particularly more male voices, more tenor and more bass.
Mm-hmm.
Something we always wanted to do and always tried to do. It hasn't always been possible, with COVID ruining all our schedules and not allowing us to be in the same place at the same time. And all. That's something I'm looking forward to. And then also, like you mentioned earlier, getting more hymns in other languages.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment we're focusing on Spanish and Farsi. That would be really good. I think there's nothing more powerful than being able to praise in your own language. There's a huge disconnect when you can't do that. So
totally, yeah. Which gets back to some of that stuff we were just talking about earlier, how unifying and uplifting it is. Yeah, I'm loving that we're involving more people, and this is a great place to plug our website, wcfoundation.org/music-network. We have a sign-up form where we're trying to kind of collect a list of people who want to, like you, kind of contribute musically, because I think that's an interesting thing in my mind about the musical community is it's actually kind of hard to self-promote and to connect and to network. So that's our goal with that, and if anyone would want to contribute or has another idea about how to share music that helps the community, definitely sign up there. But thank you, Aletheia, for so much time and kind of explaining what this has meant to you and how this works and all your time, the hours and hours and hours you've put into Hymns for Sunday. So
thanks. Yeah, I feel like it's been such a fun and challenging and a real humbling thing to do at times, and all in all a privilege to be able to serve in this way.
I'm excited to see what we do this year.